Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to learn a foundational skill for mushroom cultivation. We're going to learn how to make and pour our own agar plates. What is agar? It's a gelatinous substance like jello, but it's vegan and made from red seaweed. Agar provides a 2D surface for spores to germinate and mycelium to grow. Most of the time, agar will have a small amount of nutrients in it, but it can be made without nutrients. Today we'll be making basic agar with nutrients. The recipe is super simple and only has 3 ingredients: agar powder, water, and LME or light malt extract. LME is a cheap, easy to get nutrient. LME is one of many nutrients you can use. Another common recipe is PDA or potato dextrose agar, which is just a combination of instant potato flakes and corn syrup. I use LME because it's simpler and less ingredients. Both work just fine. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. You'll need a few things to do this. You'll need a heat source like a stove, a small pot with a lid, a whisk to stir with, a measuring cup that holds at least 500 milliliters of water, a digital scale for weighing ingredients, some containers for weighing ingredients. You'll need 2 250 milliliter media bottles or one that's 500 milliliters or over. You'll need 20 empty sterile agar plates. Optionally, you can use food coloring for changing the color of the agar. This just helps looking at the cultures that grow, as dye will provide some contrast and make the cultures easier to see. 100% not necessary, but I like the colors. Lastly, you'll need a pressure cooker. I'll be using an Instant Pot. To begin, you need the recipe. This recipe calls for 500 milliliters of water, 10 grams of agar powder, and 7 grams of LME. Once you weigh them out, put the pot on the stove. Add the 500 milliliters of water to the pot, and then add the LME and agar powder into the water while it's still cold. Turn the heat on. High, like 7 or higher, is a good setting. We want to mix everything up well. This will help make sure everything dissolves. Then put the lid on the pot, and every minute or so, lift the lid and stir up the mixture. Keep an eye on the pot at all times. Once it boils, it will foam up and overflow. Keep stirring throughout it heating up. Every minute or so, once it starts to bubble, lift the pot off the burner and mix it up until it settles down. Put it back on the burner and mix it while it's heating up. Make sure it does not boil over. It will make a mess. I do this 3 or 4 times just to make sure everything is dissolved. Mix it up good one last time and then pour it into the measuring cup. Be careful and make sure not to spill it. Use the measuring cup to pour the mixture into the media bottles. Once it's all in the bottles, we can add 1 or 2 drops of food coloring to each and then swirl it up. Try not to add too much dye because it can have some nutrients in it like carbs or sugar. Once they're all mixed up, we can move on to sterilizing the agar in the pressure cooker. Open the pressure cooker and put a trivet in the PC. You want to add enough water to come up to the bottom of the bottles. Put the 2 media bottles in the PC with the lids on. Make sure the lids are loose. These bottles are designed to be sterilized so they won't explode. Put the lid on the PC and select pressure cook and set the time for 1 hour. My PC only goes up to 12 psi, so I cook it for an hour. If you have a PC that goes up to 15 psi or higher, you can cook it for 15 minutes, but I prefer overcooking it a little just to be safe. 15 extra minutes won't hurt anything. I live in Colorado, so I'm at a high elevation, so water boils at a lower temp. Just to be safe, I PC agar for 1 hour and I don't have any issues. For this next part, you will need an FFU, a fan filter unit, a flow hood, or a still air box to pour the agar. You cannot do this next part in open air. I use a fan filter unit, but I started out with a do-it-yourself still air box. I carry the PC to my FFU and I open the PC in the clean airflow so I don't have to sanitize the media bottles. If you carry the bottles through open air, you need to sanitize them with alcohol before you add them to your FFU, flow hood, or SAB. You spray a clean paper towel with 70% alcohol and then wipe down the entire outside of the media bottle. Make sure not to open the bottle for any reason. We need the agar to cool off some before we pour it, or the lids of the agar plates will be covered in condensation. You will need a pair of scissors to cut the bag of the plates open. The scissors need to be sanitized with 70% alcohol before you begin. Make sure to clean them well. I usually just spray them with alcohol so they're soaked, and then I clean them with a paper towel soaked in alcohol. Make sure to get both sides of the blade. Next, we'll need to add our empty agar plates to our workstation. You should sanitize the outside of the bag the plates come in. I spray the bag with alcohol and I soak the paper towel I use to wipe them with. They're usually pretty clean, but they can be dusty. Make sure to get all the cracks and crevices. Look at the plates in the bag. We want to cut the bottom of the bag. The bottom is the side the bottom of the plates are facing. The top or lid of the plate is slightly bigger than the bottom. Once you cut the bottom of the bag, you can place it in the workstation and remove the bag from the plates. Be careful not to knock them over. I'm using 20 plates in this video. I split them up into 4 stacks to make it easier to pour. With stacks of 10 or more plates, if you don't have steady hands, you could drop or knock some of the plates over while you pour, so it can make a big difference in the outcome. My hands get shaky sometimes, so I break them down into smaller stacks. I would recommend doing it with stacks of 10 just because it reduces the amount of plates that get condensation. As far as when to pour the agar, you can get an infrared thermometer to check the temp. Around 110 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit should be good to go. I do it by hand. Once I can grab the bottle without it burning my fingers, that's when I pour the agar. So it's up to you. Use a thermometer or do it by touch or feeling. Once it's cooled off, we can begin. Remove the lid from the media bottle you're going to use to pour with. Grab a stack of plates by the lid of the bottom plate and with one hand grab the media bottle with the other. We want to slightly lift the stack of plates starting with the bottom plate and just barely move it so you can pour the agar in. If you do this in an SAB, try to move the plates as little as possible and be as quick as possible to prevent contaminants in the air from getting in the plates. With an FFU or flow hood, you have a lot more leeway than an SAB since they blow filtered air the whole time. It's unlikely that contamination will be able to get on the plate. When you're pouring, you don't want to fill the whole plate up. There is usually a line on the bottom plate that's about halfway up the dish. This is a good amount, about halfway up the bottom plate. At least enough to cover the whole bottom of the plate, but don't fill it up all the way. 250 milliliters of agar makes about 10 plates. Once you pour the first bottom plate, put the stack back down and grab the next lid of the plate one up from the previous plate. Lift the stack and pour the agar. Repeat this until you've poured agar in all the plates. The whole time you're pouring, try to make sure to swirl the media bottle up to keep everything mixed up. So in between each plate, swirl the bottle a few times and then pour. This keeps the agar thoroughly mixed up. It can start to separate some if you don't, and the agar can come out looking funky or weird. If you broke the stacks up into smaller stacks like I did, be careful but try to stack them back up. Make sure not to lean them in any direction. Keep them as flat as possible because agar could spill from the plate if you lean it. This will reduce the amount of plates with heavy condensation. Once you're done pouring all the plates, you want to just let them sit for about an hour so they solidify. Once they're cooled off, I like to put them in a clear plastic bag. I fold it over and I put a piece of tape on it just to keep the bag closed. When you first start doing this, it's best to let the plates sit for about a week just to make sure there isn't any contamination on them. You don't have to do this, but it's good practice. If you really want to, you can use plates after they solidify, but I highly recommend just to wait and verify that they're clean. If there's any contamination in them, it will usually start growing in a few days. You can wrap the plates individually instead of putting them in the bag like I do, but if there's excess condensation in the plates, it will not dissipate much if you seal the plates. In the bag, if they have some space for moisture to evaporate because the plates aren't sealed up. The choice is yours. The plates are usually good for about a month or two. As time goes by, the agar will get thinner and thinner as moisture evaporates from the agar, until the agar will eventually be paper thin. It's important to note that you shouldn't make plates unless you need them. They're not something you want to stock up on and keep long term. You should make them as needed, just to keep them as fresh as possible. Thanks for watching. Making agar might seem complicated or intimidating, but I promise once you get used to it, it's pretty simple. Using an FFU or flow hood instead of a still air box will greatly reduce the chance for contamination, but if all you have is a still air box, it will get the job done. In the future, I'm going to make a video about making agar without a pressure cooker. I appreciate you watching my video. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, make sure to leave a like. I would love to get this channel monetized, so please subscribe for more content. I hope everyone has a great day. If you have any questions, comments, tips, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you.